2, test, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Thank you.
All right, Dimitri Stanley, 5532 Edenvale Lane. Is that good?
Yeah,
All right.
thank you.
Hello, my name is Dimitri Stanley. I am here on behalf of my biracial daughter and my concern about the direction education is headed in this school district. Do you, in your good conscience, think that any theory that needs an enemy, whether it's based on class or race, to accomplish a goal is going to end peacefully? In order to understand critical race theory, you have to understand the origin of critical theory into education. In 1884, the Fabian Socialist Society was founded in England with an aim of bringing about a socialist society by means of intellectual debate, the publication of books, pamphlets, and the permeation of socialist ideas into universities, the press, government institutions, political parties, and now K through 12. This was in marked contrast of the other means of bringing about socialism, which was adopted by Marxist parties, namely the use of violence and revolution to overthrow capitalism. The Fabian Society used tactics of infiltration, gradualism, attrition, and delay, rather than direct military confrontation to defeat the enemy. Thus, one might describe the tactics of Fabian Society as intellectual guerrilla warfare against free market societies. The social reconstructionist theory worked out in the USA, put forward as a basis of argument in schools, and teachers as planned agents of social and cultural reform by addressing and solving practical social problems. The most famous of this society's early members included playwright George Bernard Shaw. He was a eugenics. I'm going to tell you a quote from his. The only fundamental and possible socialism is the socialization of the selective breeding of humans. So you think that someone that believes in eugenics is going to give us something that's going to bring us together and make society better. That's hard for me to believe that you believe that. Critical theory, which critical race theory stemmed from, was developed by a Frankfurt school in Germany in the 1930s. It applied Marxist principles to power, oppression, and emancipation in gender studies, religion, and other areas of sociology and culture. The Frankfurt School perspective of critical investigation, open-ended and self-critical, is based upon Freudian, Marxist, and Hegelian premises of idealist philosophy. Critical race theory applies Marxist critical theory ideology to race relations. Critical theory was exiled from Germany because of its teachings and was then absorbed by Columbia University in New York in the mid-1900s. Its philosophical roots are postmodernism, relativism, and critical legal studies. Since its inception in the 1970s, critical race theory thinking has grown in influence both outside and increasingly inside churches. One of the well-known books, a part of critical theory, race theory program, is called How to Be an Anti-Racist by Ibram X. Kendi. The quote says, "The only remedy for racist discrimination is anti-racist discrimination. The only remedy to past discrimination is present discrimination. The only remedy to present discrimination is future discrimination." How to Be an Anti-Racist, page 19. Critical theory is all over the world. This isn't a new concept. The problem with critical theory is known as critical race theory in the U.S. is one, most people don't know its origins, and two, it finds the weak spot of a nation, it pokes at it until society breaks down. Its natural design is to create conflict. How do you suppose calling a Caucasian person racist just because of their skin color is going to help people understand how not to be racist? Any theory that needs an enemy to accomplish a goal will never end peacefully. The generalization of groups of people is wrong and detrimental to the well-being of any society. Yes, we need to change some things in this country, but teaching a child political agendas and your political beliefs is not the reason I send my child to school. Don't get me wrong. Critical race theory has some great points, but the delivery will be the downfall. I find it hard to believe that people of your stature do not understand the history of this movement. It is a small part of a larger economic war, capitalist versus socialist, here in America and around the world. It is your responsibility as leaders to truly understand what we are facing and the position you are putting our children in. We are depending on you to put all of our children's best interests in mind. I feel these teachings are disregarding my child altogether. My child is biracial, and these teachings will confuse her. I do not believe it is your job to teach this lesson. And for me, my child comes home and sees a Caucasian woman and myself getting along in love, beautiful home, eat every day, food on the table, clothes on our back, and then you're going to confuse her and tell her that my wife is the enemy and that I'm oppressed. That's not true. That's not true.
Bodis. My name is Maureen Bodis, 4737 Sibel Court, and I would actually like to give Demetrius the time to be able to finish what he was speaking about his daughter and their experience, if that's possible.
And here's, I'm not for anyone, I'm not against anyone. I understand that racism does exist. I understand that people that look like me have had some issues throughout our history as a country and as a nation. But I am not going to blame any of you in this audience. I don't want you to feel guilty for anything that has ever been done. That is not your place. Now, we can fix a lot of things, but the problem is you don't want to destroy the good and the bad at the same time. Now, with critical race theory, as I understand it, it is judging me by the color of my skin. Now, when it's favorably and someone judges me by the color of my skin, that's good. But when the time comes and it's unfavorable and someone judges you by the color of your skin, you're going to call them a racist. So the issue will continue. And you have to understand, this is a much, much bigger fight. And I'm going to go on a tangent, and most of you probably have no idea. This is a much bigger fight. And you teachers, school board members, educators, you are on the front line of this fight. It's deeper than you think. And it's here. You've seen it. They're tearing down statues. They're talking about judging someone by the color of their skin. The Fabian Society doesn't believe in violent revolution. They believe in infiltration. And now this is how critical theory got into education. I brought this with me today to show you this is a wolf in sheep's clothing. This was the Fabian Society's first seal, their first logo of their group. They've changed it, but this was it. And these are the people that introduced critical theory into education, which hence critical race theory's foundation. I think there's a lot of good points, but I'm going to tell you, the delivery is where it's going to fall apart. I can be for talking about racism, but I can't be for you demonizing my wife and telling my child that because of my wife, who's the kindest, one of the best human beings in life, you're going to tell her, my child, who's 5, that her mother is the enemy because of her skin color. I don't subscribe to that. And then you're going to tell her that she can't be successful unless Caucasian people change. I don't believe that either. And I think the fact that they're going to pay hundreds of millions of dollars to do diversity training here in Olentangy, while young men that look like me are killing each other at a historic rate. Why? I truly believe it's because of the message that people look like me are constantly giving. You're always telling them, oh, the world hates you because of your skin color. How do you expect success from that? That's hopelessness. And you wonder why they're in the street doing the things they're doing, because you can't get outside of the community and see different. I came from an all a community of everybody that looked like me from Belgrade, Florida. I came to Ohio, it changed. It looked like a lot of you. My grandmother told me, leave Caucasian people alone because they are the devil. That's how I grew up. But fortunately, I was able to get outside my community and see differently. And I hope through all this that we take it away from your skin, the color of your skin. And if you do the critical legal theory, right? Because you're making it about the law. Yes, some laws are very discriminatory. Critical race theory is making it about black and white. And black and white are not racist. Those aren't real things. Those are political racism. Those are political constructs. Those are titles. Those are classifications and statuses that was created in the late 1600s by slave owners to separate us because we were coming together to revolt against the slavery, against the elitists. And it ended up creating the Virginia Slave Codes of 1705. And they said, let's give these indentured servants a little bit more. So let's create some laws to separate them from people that look like me.
Mr. Stanley, that's...
And you're selling that every time you call yourself black or white. We're never going to change things truly if that's what you're teaching.
Thank you. Ms. Kelly Peterson?
Hi, I'm Kelly Peterson, 4723 Normandy. I would like to give my time to Mr. Stanley as well.
And I know you're probably sick of me now. I can see the faces right here in the front row. They're tired of listening to me. No, and at the end of the day, we do have a race issue, absolutely. I've dealt with it. Everybody in here that looks like me has dealt with it. But we can't indict an entire society for that. Because the people in here, the people that live next door to me or next door to you never wrote a law that discriminated against you. Ever and ever. And so what we need to do is come together and go and change what's happening in Washington. Because we're bringing politics into our school. My child is 5 years old. All she should be thinking about is Barbie dolls and going to the pool with my wife and wrestling with her daddy. And I'm being told that I'm going to send my child to school and she's going to be taught about the color of her skin. And critical race theory, from what I'm understanding, it doesn't deal with people like my child who is mixed. It is black and white. So you completely discount my child. And I take offense to that. But at the end of the day, I don't want violence. I don't want revolution. I want change. And I want us all to change together. That's the only way we're going to do it. And as far as the school board, and I know you guys are in this, and I guarantee you feel some intimidation to implement this. You feel the energy that is given towards this. I'm a big study of history and communism and socialism and capitalism. I'm just going to tell you right now, this is a bigger fight. None of you really understand it, but I'm going to tell you, if you are born of Western culture and you have Western cultural ideas, communism and socialism will get rid of that. They will get rid of you, and the people that are selling it, you're not free. You will either be sent to a re-education camp or other things other than that will happen. That's history. That is flat out history. You can go to the Soviet Russia. You could go to communist China. You can study Marxism. You can study Engels. You can study the Fabian Society. They do it in different ways. But at the end of the day, with what's happening, they're using my people to implement socialist ideas and to change a capitalist society. Because if you listen to Mr. Derek Bell, the godfather of critical race theory, he mentions capitalism often. And for me, understanding critical theory, this is a bigger fight, folks. And I don't think people on the board, I don't know if you understand that, I don't know if you know what you're facing and what we're facing as a society. You haven't been hearing the term democratic socialist for no reason for the last 5 years. There's a reason you've been hearing that. There's a reason why our economy creates poverty. There's a reason why our education has been taken over for political purposes. Indoctrination, and that's the first step. So I hope the things that I said here has opened your eyes about the real history of where critical race theory, the foundation of it, comes from. It is built for conflict. You can't create something by having to have an enemy to make it end well. I love my community. I love everybody in it. And I don't love you because of the color of your skin. I love you because you're good people and you want the best for your child just like I do. So thank you guys very much. But I want you to leave here today understanding this is way bigger than education. And I hate that they use my people to put this up. They've done it to us for decades. And we keep falling for it. I hate it. But that's what it is. That's how I see it. That comes from my study. And we keep voting for the same thing. Thank you, guys.
Susanna Stedman, Memorial Park Drive, Lewis Center. Just piggybacking off of him, my whole speech was about CRT, and you were talking earlier about alleviating barriers to learning and promoting a culture of inclusive excellence for everybody. And I think if you include CRT within that, you're not including all students and you're not promoting that culture of inclusive excellence that you are talking about. My two boys at Olentangy High School have experienced some of this. And so I really feel that the board really needs to think long and hard, even though the State Board of Ed is promoting it and even the teachers union. Just think long and hard before you implement some of those policies and think of all students and everybody. Thank you.
Audrey McHenry, please.
Hi, Audrey McHenry, Sierra Drive. I just wanted to take this public opportunity to share with you some great experiences that our district has gone through with the band. Dr. Cox